This podcast is distributed for general informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, accounting, or investment advice. The information, opinions, and views contained herein are our own and may be subject to change at any time without prior notice. All investment strategies and investment involve risk of loss. Any reference in investment, past, or potential performance is not and should not be construed as a recommendation or as a guarantee of any specific outcome or profit. Hey everybody, we're going to do a 2-coin video today. Dogecoin, for obvious reasons. It'll be a quick one though, because there's not a ton to talk about. And then Bitcoin. So in the Discord, we talked about the similar patterns that you see with Dogecoin a lot, and the overall pattern that is the best one is when it gets down into the 22, the 20-ish sats, you accumulate all the way down, and then you sell at 100 sats. That's happened 3 times in the past 3 years. So will we get another one? Potentially. I think we have another couple of good alt seasons that are going to come around, and the best alt season as of another 9 months maybe. But again, let's watch it. If it gets down to 20 sats, accumulate. Does that mean this pump is over? Definitely not. Especially with the hype train that's the Wall Street bets guys and everything else that's going on. If I go down to the daily, you can just see this accumulation. It's just like a straight line. It went up so fast and so hard. When we're looking at this here, this shows 2 candles, but this pump started way late in the day, and the overall just to hit the top I think was less than 24 hours. So you went almost to 10x from this base to the top here. Pretty epic. I missed out on the top half of that, but I'm fine with that because there's always another trade, and I made a really good profit off of the other side. So don't worry about trying to catch the top because nobody knows where that's going to be. Just make sure that you're taking profits on the way up. So the next time I might not sell all of it and keep a little bit on the extra just to catch that extra little bit on the side. But again, learn from those situations. Nobody saw that one coming. Not that high, at least. So we can see it a little bit better on the 4-hour. Thought maybe we might get another run up off of this little wedge that was forming here. More really like in this area here. But once this broke down below here, you should have got out if you were in there at any point in time. Again, we're doing another similar one here. Is it going to break up or down? Your risk versus reward is a little better here than up here. But again, lots of times if we go back to the weeklies, if you look at all these other pumps, you've had a couple of weeks in those pumps. So it wasn't just one pump and go. So the likelihood that you might see more is highly likely. But again, this was a freak pump that came through with a bunch of your Wall Street bets guys getting through it. So take heed on that. If you are in it, just know that if it breaks down, like watch this wedge. If we see it close below here, I wouldn't hesitate to see it coming down to the next real. Let's see what we got here. Coming down to the 64 sats, that might be a really good spot. I might actually look at getting back in if we come down to the 64 sats. I know a lot of you guys go, what about USD? And then that way, back up, and then retest these highs, and then down. So watching it, see what happens. I'm not in it right now. I'm completely out. I took some back in when we had dropped down into here. Once we broke down here, I got out. So it was just one of those things that you just do. If you're in it a little bit, it's fine, and we'll watch it play out. So from there, let's go to BTC. Okay, I'll show you. Doge USD. You'll see Doge USD. All right. So weekly. So they only had USD for I don't know, less than a year on this bad boy, but all we're looking for is this part. So less than a penny, 7 cents. Let's see if there's any type of confluence of fib levels from top to bottom. That's reversed. Let's go backwards here. 382. Again, this is our, that 1 penny range. We don't want to see it get down to the 1 penny. This is your 618. The 50 mark has a little bit of the VPR here. Let's do this. One other. Here we go. Fixed range. This is going to show us in a range where our highest volume is going to be. It's at the top. So, but you can see this 50 here. We tagged it here, potentially coming down again, touching it, and then back up. I could see that. Let's look down on the 4 hour. 50 looks good for if this breaks down. So this is similar to what we saw on the Doge BTC chart. Up, and the breakdown. Similar pattern here. So I would imagine that we see a similar breakdown here into the 50. I think the 50 would be a good guess. That I might put some orders in at the 50. So again, drop and break in, and then up, test up in this way. I don't think we see all-time highs again, but I would, me personally, if I get back in, I would sell some here just for the fact that we might go moonshot with these crazy guys, especially next week with the craziness going on, or we see it go down. So sell a little bit at this point in time, 5 cent range. That would be your next best option, and then let the rest ride. Maybe it's not quite a double from there, but still be a good profit and loss. So all right, on to BTC. So we're going to do a macro view. This is on the 1 week. And why I want to do this is I always like setting your all-time highs, your last two, kind of give us an idea of just pattern and stage area where we're at. You can see all-time high to where we came to all-time high and broke through. If we're running a similar pattern of consolidation, I believe this is the similar area that we're at here. We zoom in a little bit closer. That one took from top to the actual, when we got back to all-time high, 7 weeks, 6 weeks till we hit the all-time high again, and then broke it 8 weeks later. So 6 weeks, hit it again, and then broke it and went through in the 8 weeks. So here, if we do the same, we're sitting on the 3rd week. Next week will be the 4th, 5th, 6th. I think we go a little sooner than that if we actually do get there. I think the 6th is going to be when we actually break through and go through. I don't think we see the same type of consolidation that's here. So, but just similar patterns of breakthrough. You rise up, consolidate, and then move to the next level. I think this is going to be our 50, 54-ish, but we'll see. We'll do some fib levels to kind of get us an idea of where that's going to be, and we'll start some now actually. So if we go top to bottom here, and top to bottom here. Let's reverse that guy. We'll look at some confluence here for those two big ones, right? Is the last big bull run top, and then that 14K top in 2019 down. We look at 50 to 61. So for me, I think that's where we're going to see our next kind of consolidation, barring any crazy news like Elon actually saying he's putting half of Tesla's cash into Bitcoin. So, but moving on, let's get down onto, let's see if I want to do any more weeklies here. Actually, let's mark off a couple weeklies transitions, because these are going to be key when we drop down into the lower time frames, and we'll be able to see why. There's a lot of reactions that come off of these weekly transitions. And I'll do one more here, 26259. If we get down to the daily, these are our weekly transitions, all these white lines that are going through. This is Elon's candle. When we looked at it before, obviously didn't think that we were going to be doing that, but not many people did. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to run a fib level, top to bottom, and we'll see a little bit more where that kind of gives us some other confluence. So if we look here, we're looking at 53 and 61. So you look at that, the 618 and the 1, they're almost exactly the same. You know, they're at the 61,000 mark. I like that. So we're kind of getting some confluence. Might get a little break here, and then maybe this is our next little top, and these might be our support. So those are definitely looking like some potential. So let's see what our price action is going to look like on the lower time frames. I like having a little bit of a, let's see, I like to see my little green box shows wick throughs in that area there. This is my better watch out, because we're going to go a lot lower zone. So, and if we look at the 2659, it could just be a quick wick through if it does go down and back up, which would be the ideal scenario. If it goes lower, we're looking at the 23 most likely, or all the way back down to retest the all-time highs. So, all-time high of 19,666. The devil. So, for this is the daily. I'd really like to see us, if I'm just looking at this right now, close of, above the 50 for today. For the week, I would definitely like to see us close above the 36 range for a bullish continuation. Now, I was under the my idea here was that we were going to be consolidating. This has been for the last couple of weeks off of this upper trend line, and we have our lower trend line, and this was going to give us our consolidation for alt season. So again, we have all-time highs here at 40,000. That, if we're anywhere in this bottom zone, I think once we break above the 38 and we close above that, alt season is going to be over. You'll start to see it die down once we close above the 36. If we do, what I would like to see, what didn't happen here, this Elon candle, that was just a bunch of FOMO buys and stuff like that. Ultimately, for me, my bullish Bitcoin scenario would be to close up here, maybe retest that up, come in through here, test the highs again, consolidate in here, and then move up. Again, that would put us into mid-February. This would give us a couple weeks left of alt season, and then in here, you might see a little bit of pumps, but I would be scaling out of your alts that you're not long-term holds in and put them into BTC and wait for that next run up to the 50, 60K. Looks like we're looking at 60K as our overall. So, but bearish scenario, right? We're kind of putting in this, and it's early in the day, I know. Let's get rid of this guy here. And bearish scenario would be this. We're testing this upper trend line, which is great. So let me give you one more bullish scenario. We're up in this upper trend line. We still come down, and we come down and we test this high, or sorry, this, and we make a higher low. I can't speak this morning. On top of that green box where we see a lot of the confluence of that, the volume at that point and the buys that are coming in there, but it's higher and we don't reach that lower trend line and we come back up. This would be I would see this happening with a longer drawn out alt season. So you're going to see a lot of potential BTC flowing into alts. And so especially if we see BTC dropping slower and alts are still continuing to either not drop as far as Bitcoin, so they're, in terms of that alt to Bitcoin, they're gaining, we're definitely going to see an alt season, and I'm going to be bullish going forward, watching this come up and then break, retest, and then move up. And then same scenario, just drawn out a little bit longer, maybe into March. That's fine. Play your alts that way. So anything in this range that we're looking at here, as we watch the alts versus BTC, play the alts while we can. Now, bearish scenario, if it comes to, we see this breakdown on this trend line here, same thing, and we miss the trend line again and we come down and we retest this trend line down here. That's where I'm going to get a little nervous, and I'm going to be watching the whole way down. I'll be watching alts versus BTC here. But if this is the bearish scenario, most likely what's going to happen is it's going to miss the trend line. Let me start this over. It's going to miss that bottom trend line. So you're going to come in, down, hit this trend line up, miss it again, and you're going to see this break through. Potentially a retest. Could be a fake out, but at that retest, the risk versus reward there for me is going to be, I'm going to be looking at opening up short. And then a push down lower, most likely, I don't think, unless it's a quick and rapid one that just rips right back up, we potentially will go lower. So that would be the bearish scenario. Again, watching, anywhere from your 30 all the way down to, I'd say, your 32s, mid 31s, up to 36. I think we maintain an alt season, but watching it closely. So I like the reaction off of here if we go down to lower time frames. So before the Elon candle, right, this is the Elon candle, we had a trend that was going here. And that trend is still intact. So, which was my original plan of what I was looking to have happen, was, again, this test of this trend line, and then watching BTC drop back down. And I wouldn't mind seeing it just hold in the 33 range, high 32s on the 618s, this weekly transition level on the white line. That would be my most ideal scenario, because that gives us a little bit more in the alt season. Testing the trend line again, up, maybe come up to the 50, test, and then up. And then we maintain some alt season here until we get back up and above and we leave. So I can't not be bullish here. So I've been bullish, this entire way down, knowing that we're just putting in an alt season, definitely being cautious as we're getting to these lows, but each one of them were a higher low. As long as we maintain that higher low status, and alts maintain their ratios to BTC, I'm bullish. So again, and if we move through, up past the all-time high, I'm going to be looking at the 50. Just because it's 50,000, you're going to see some confluence, and it's a big one. You're going to see some confluence here, potentially another breakdown, but I don't think it's I don't think it's as long and drawn out as this one will be. I think it's shorter up to the 60 range. That one might be a little bit longer until we move back up and get to the 70. So, I know some people want to see some big long-term targets. If we look at the weekly again, we have our fib levels in. A lot of confluence up in the 100K range. And if you follow the trend is your friend. If we maintain this trend line, you're looking at 100K by August. So that's a good scenario. I think everybody's happy in that range. I don't think if we break this overall trend, that's when I think you might want to look at transitioning from BTC to some other things. This trend might be the one trend. But, I say that, and even this trend, if we go to 2022, basically. So even if this trend line is maintained, you're still going to hit 100K by the end of the year. So this trend line, however, if this trend line is maintained, that's when the big money comes in, right? That's when we see that. Either way you look at it, things are looking up for Bitcoin. So one trend line, consolidate. This becomes, we get some consolidation. Say we get to the 50 or 60 range before, and we get long consolidation. Even we go breakthrough, come down, and we consolidate between 70 and 50 or 70 and 60 through this range before we head back up to the 100. That's pretty dang good. That's a lot. And that's going to be a massive alt season with that consolidation. So overall, very bullish, especially with everything that's coming into it from the legacy markets, your institutional investors. So no reason to not be bullish on Bitcoin.